Welcome to the Porsche Club Insider, your one stop for all things Porsche and PCA. Here's your host, Vu Nguyen, and the Insider crew.
Hello there and welcome to episode 48. We're back at PCA's national office. Around the table I have with me Manny, Damon Lowney, and of course Robert Forsyth at the helm at the computers to make everything work. I can't believe it's February.
Time has flown.
Time has flown, but all in so much going on, so much to prepare for. We've been doing a lot of we had our executive council here in January for a planning meeting and then working on objectives and goals. And man, 2023 is going to be incredibly busy and I'm happy for it.
Oh, yeah.
Some exciting stuff to come. Let me just first start with today. As we're recording this, I want to congratulate the PCA Porsche Parade Committee as well as the member services staff here at headquarters for the Phase 1 opening of Porsche Parade. And we are already looking at over 650 families coming to Porsche Parade later this year in Palm Springs. That's quite amazing.
Yeah, that is.
I also want to congratulate, we have the winners of the fall 2022 member-only raffle. So this raffle, the first grand prize was the GTS America, and then the following prizes were for the 911 Carrera cab. So I want to congratulate the winner of the GTS America from the Orange Coast region, Sudeep Kukareja. I apologize if I didn't pronounce your name correctly. From the Space Coast region, we have Emily Labode. Lone Star region, Shane Fillmore. Space Coast region, Rob Greenwood. Connecticut Valley, Mark Calabro. And from the Southeast Michigan region, Michelle Latika. So hopefully I'll be able to get them together and we'll introduce you to them, get a little bit of their story and background. And I have to say, I've spoken to just about all of them and none of them have ever really won anything before.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so they're super excited and we're going to process their cars here shortly. But do you guys know what
Aren't you really nervous about doing something like that? Because how many raffle winners have actually looked excited?
Well, that's the thing.
We've won.
Like one or two.
I mean, that to me is just fraught with danger, having it's people that you don't know how they're going to be on camera, how they're going to react, and what they're going to say.
Now, Manny speaks from experience, and he's been with me a lot of times when we go surprise the winners. And you're absolutely right. When we just show up and surprise them, they're so stunned that on camera they actually look like they're not even that
I've seen people more excited that they got extra fries in their Five Guys order than from winning a Porsche.
However, these folks have had time to digest the fact that they've won. And so I'm hoping that, now that they know it's not a scam, they know it's real, and they're getting ready to order their cars or maybe even go for the cash alternative, I'm hoping that they will be smiling faces and we'll be able to hear the stories. And best of all, it's not going to be live. We're going to record it. And then, we'll edit it and just make sure that it's all good.
Do it live. Don't edit it. Do it live.
Yeah, I remember, I think the first raffle video that I filmed and had to have been spring 2014 raffle, and I believe that was Silver Spring or Bethesda.
Oh,
and Manny was there, and I was like standing across the street.
Yeah.
I had the zoom lens all the way. It looked like a straight up one of those, spy shows or candid camera.
And remember, I think that's the one where luckily we chose the correct neighbor to go to.
Is that the one where I felt like to catch a predator?
Yeah.
Looking at the windows of the house.
Yeah.
You're
by
like
myself.
You're like, Vu is walking up to the door, and the door is
you were narrating.
opening.
That's what it was. You were narrating on the camera.
You're sitting in the car narrating the things that we do. Yeah. But here's a cool thing. Do you guys know what a neonatologist does or is?
Something with neon.
Someone tell me you're not pronouncing this right. What's it called?
Neonatologist. Now here's where I truly believe karma, of course it's random, right, who wins, but I believe karma plays into all this somehow. So the winner of the GTS America, he takes care of little itty bitty babies that have hearing issues, neonatal care, and like thousands of these little itty bitty babies. It's pretty cool. And he's never won anything. I spoke to him. I was like, I bet you have a lot of karma points stored up. And he just laughed. Super nice gentleman. And he's already decided that he is going to take the GTS America, and he wants to actually hopefully come to Porsche Parade and show us the car after he gets it.
Didn't you say he said, I hope it's a manual? And it was
yeah. That's the thing, is he didn't realize the GTS America, what the options and how unique it was. He was just so happy. He's like, I'm really excited. Is this car available in a manual? And turns out it is actually only available in a manual. So it worked out perfectly.
Yeah.
All right. So let's go into first, please, if you enjoy the show, please hit like. We love reading your comments, and of course, depending on your platform, if you can, subscribe. I like seeing all these comments. And the last podcast we had Tessa on, and a lot of favorable comments on having Tessa, so that's pretty cool.
Yeah,
having a guest. The question was, do people like it when we bring guests, or is it certain guests, or do we keep it to the three of us or the four of us when Rob's here? What are your thoughts?
Actually, our most popular ones, it's almost split. I wish I could look at the stats and say, yeah, we get more downloads with guests, but it really is the topic. If we talk about market, then you have people that aren't regulars listening on the podcast versus something that may not appeal to the general.
Yeah.
We had one person saying they want a Tessa on monthly or something, right?
Because they want a professional. They don't want a bunch of hacks around the table. I totally understand.
We get one good show per month at least, right?
Exactly. We've got a lot to cover. There's been a whole lot going on. If you don't mind, I'm going to jump into what we did in the last week or so. So I've got to say, I was my nephew is on the hunt for a 987 Cayman, and he found one.
Willis is your nephew?
Yeah. What do you think Willis was?
I thought it was, you call everyone a cousin. So how many people are your like blood cousins or brothers?
No,
or
he's
sisters?
blood.
I never
He's
know.
He's blood nephew. Yeah.
So did he get the one that?
So here. Truly, I'm calling this a catfished Cayman.
Oh, so I was right by telling him to be careful?
Yes.
Yeah.
So here, he found a I think we have photos of it, an 07 Cayman on Facebook Marketplace, and the pictures, the profile pictures, let's say, looks pretty.
I didn't see the
decent.
Pictures. I was going off what he described to me.
Yeah. But we did, we often, even with like Mart picks, and people ask us this all the time. So I feel like those of us here in the office really do have a certain way to approach looking at a car, as opposed to someone that like Willis, who's just excited at the fact that he's made the decision that he's going to get a car and he just wants to get in a car, right? Mm-hmm. But we temper all of that here because we're looking at it a little bit more objectively. He wanted to know the difference between getting a standard Cayman versus an S Cayman, and of course, in this room, you live and breathe Cayman, so I had him talk to you. We did some research on the car. He got the Carfax on it. We found out it's a Maryland car. Been in Maryland for a while, serviced by Porsche Silver Spring, and then it was actually wholesaled earlier this year. And so the only thing that we could deduce is this guy happened to be at the auction and bought himself a Cayman for probably a song. Now, this car is black on black, which in photos looks pretty decent. And, I didn't feel like this was going to be his car, but I felt like we need to go through the motions so that he can drive one and he knows what we're looking for. So here we go. We throw in the Durametric in the trunk, a flashlight, and all this other stuff. I said, if we're serious, we're going to dig into the car a little bit more. But if we look at it and it's no good, then there's no need to plug anything in. So anyways, we're not too far from the Hunt Valley Cars and Coffee, about 2 exits above that. And we meet the gentleman behind an Exxon station. Clearly, he's a car flipper, let's say. Doesn't seem to know much about the car. As it's pulling into the lot, we're like, it looks okay and not super clean, whatever. Then it's interesting. He doesn't pull up like right next to us, even though we told him which car we were in, but he pulls off. So we're walking up to the car, and immediately I can tell, like, man, this car was put away wet. It was just, yeah. And but yet at the same time, though, Willis was still very excited because this is the first Porsche he's kind of considering to buy. Yeah. So I'm walking around. I just kind of keep quiet and just look at everything, looking at paint, looking at interior, looking at engines, and blah blah. Not engine, but the underneath the hoods and stuff, and looking at the brakes and so on and so forth. And I've already made up my mind, like, this definitely is not a car for him. Yeah. But I said, you know what, you should go drive it, and he did. He comes back. He's super excited. Oh, it drives great. He's like, what do you think, Uncle? And I'm like, yeah, let's part ways nicely with this guy. And so the guy was like, so he looked at me. He's like, what do you think? Ooh, so I gave him an option. I was like, I appreciate you bringing this out. Do you really want my honest opinion, or just say that we'll part ways? And of course he was like, no, tell me, because other people have been calling me, and so I kind of went through it all. So long story short, I mean, the car was roughly 18 grand or something like that.
So almost too good to be true, sort of.
Almost too good to be true. But you want to go, right? Because what if it is good?
Well, I was in a situation like that.
Yeah, your car was kind of too good to be true, but it worked out, right? So I talked to Willis. I'm like, to make this car right, you're probably going to spend 10 grand on the car, and at that point you're at 28, almost $30,000. Now you're in like really good 987 territory, or you put a couple $1,000 more and you're in 981 territory. Right. So
sounds like perfect track day candidate in a sense.
Well, I did see some oil leaks underneath, but let's say the engine and transmission were good. I would say, that would be the perfect.
Slap on a deep sump and some of the
that
stuff.
That would be a perfect. And that's what I told the guy. I was like, if someone's looking to buy a car to just track it and have fun, and all the other stuff checks out, like, this would be a perfect candidate for him. I think it's a great price. Blah 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 blah. So, anyways, that was fun. And then Saturday was 50 degrees, so I washed a number of cars. Now, here's where I'm going to go out to you listeners and both of you here. Now, I love the Grio's heavy duty wheel cleaner, and it gets most everything, all my wheels clean. However, my Honda Odyssey has some really like stuck on brake dust, like deep in the crevices. And
don't you ever clean your wheels?
I know. I don't even know why I'm looking at you, because you never clean your wheels, Damon. I'm looking at Manny, but I don't think Manny even lets his wheels get this dirty.
That's indicative of someone who doesn't want to bend down.
Right.
So what we're looking at here is one of the inside spokes of my Honda Odyssey wheel, and the Grio's heavy duty did take a lot of it out, but there's some there, like even with scrubbing. So anyways, for those of you that are listening, is there something or some combination that you use to get that really hard to remove brake dust from an alloy wheel? And of course I want to clean it, but at the same time I don't want to damage the clear coat. And so
that train left the station a long time ago.
That is a clear coat now.
When's the last time you saw? That looks like that's been kicked on for like 20 years.
It isn't 08, but I mean, When's
the last time you saw the silver underneath that?
Well, it's been a couple of years, because what happened was.
Do you really think that there's paint underneath that baked on brake dust?
I think that portion of it might be just, I don't know. There's got to be something. Like, I've heard about wheel acid. I don't know if you guys have used wheel acid. Like, what do dealers use, like, when they get a car that comes in like that?
Wheel acid's going to bring back the shine?
No, I just want to get the dirt off of it. That's all. I'm okay with just getting
for that flat RSR finish.
Yeah, but you're not hoping to have, like, underneath of it magically is your stock OEM finish.
I don't know. Maybe is that too hopeful to think that maybe the silver finish is still underneath of it?
That would be me looking in the mirror every morning and thinking I see a hair follicle popping out.
I have an idea. All 4 of the wheels on my Camry look like that, so we can test one of my Camry wheels.
But is your wheels alloy too, or is it steel?
Well, they're Lexus wheels, so they might be alloy.
Okay, so whatever you guys suggest that I should do, we're gonna do it to his.
We'll try it on.
We'll do it on his Lexus first, or do it on his Camry / Lexus wheels. Anyways, I tried lots of stuff on it. I don't know if it's like using steel wool, maybe, or I don't know.
That's not going to leave the paint, but it'll get rid of the.
Manny's looking at me funny.
At this point, you might as well just well, you can't just paint an Odyssey wheel. It's not really worth it, is it?
I mean, it doesn't look bad. It's annoying to me that there's just
How
a
much
little-
can new Odyssey wheels possibly cost? Or at least better looking wheels than you have?
I like the OEM Odyssey.
Yeah, I mean,
Or
how many?
Junkyard.
Yeah, so that's
But-
Pick you.
How many people do you think took care of their Odyssey wheels? You think I'm going to find a perfect set of Odyssey wheels at a junkyard?
I've seen some pretty
The
nice
odds
wheels
of
at a
that is like
junkyard.
slim to none. Because
Yeah.
everybody that owns an Odyssey usually lets
right
it.
now,
Yeah,
somebody's
true.
saying, "What are the odds of me finding a stock radio for my Honda Odyssey?" Well, we happen to know someone who took the stock one out when it was 2 days old. Contact Boo Gwyn.
Hush.
NLA, new old stock, right? Or
Anyway,
NOS.
Yeah. All right. How about you guys? How was your weekend?
I didn't do any car stuff. I continued to clean up sort of around the house, and I've made my front room in the house a legit office now. It looks nice. So, and the futon's there now. So, if someone needs to stay over, and we have my girlfriend has her kid over as well, they can sleep in the front room, and it's pretty nice. So that's what I did. But then I also took out the Camry, and then my girlfriend took out her Miata. And so we've got some new camera equipment to shoot 4K at PCA, and decided to test it out, and I'm really happy.
I was
with
about to
it.
say,
So,
you said you didn't do much, but I've seen you you work over all this new equipment
Yeah.
and getting it ready for the year.
yeah, I'm learning how to color grade, and it's a lot of crazy enough. It's a lot of fun, trying to get it right. So hopefully, when you start seeing videos, probably in about a month or so, they will be shot on the new cameras, and hopefully you see a difference.
Awesome.
So.
How about you, Manny?
We went to Cars and Coffee,
Yeah.
and we finally found out what happened to the barn find we discussed on the other episode.
Oh, the 72.
Yeah.
So are we going to be able to
I gave
film it?
Robert a picture because last time I didn't want to show it until we knew what was going to happen. And unfortunately, Rich is it's the old barn, almost darkish picture, Robert. I think I sent you, and it was
So
it
did
was
they,
truly in a barn, covered in dust. Basically, someone from New York came down and offered more.
Oh, they got overbid.
But Rich did go look at it. He said it really was rust-free. He said just a little bit on the fender, but the floorboards looked immaculate.
Wow.
The engine was out of the car like he was told, but it was also missing the crankshaft. So this was a 2.2. So something happened to the engine. The guy was the second owner. He bought it like in 75 maybe. And he didn't say what was wrong with the engine. He had the crankshaft missing. So
Oh.
I said it was signal yellow like we thought it was.
Okay.
Although it was painted black or brown, but underneath you could still see the signal yellow.
So was he dealing with the owner of the car?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
But was the owner because they bought the property, or the owner that bought the car?
No, the owner bought the car.
Really?
They bought the property, and on the property was all these old cars.
Yeah.
And evidently there were more Mustang people than Porsche people.
But they didn't originally buy that car. They only got that car through the property.
yes, but the original the farmer who sold him the property, he was only the second owner.
Oh, okay. Wow.
So
And the
they're
record
still-
showed he bought it like 2 years after the car was built.
Wow.
So it was a very
Any idea how much they got offered on the car?
just less than 20.
Less than 20.
So interesting. I saw on the Autopian.com there was an article about, I think it was a 71 911 that was basically a shell, sold for like between $8,000 or $9,000, and I'm thinking, was that the one? And they put it onto some other.
Oh, you thought it was this
Yeah,
car
but
that we're
it
talking?
wasn't.
Yeah.
But at the same time, 71 911T, I believe, between $8,000 and $9,000, just total barn find. Car was taken
Yeah, this
apart.
was a 72.
Yeah,
So
so
this is the actually 2.4, not 2.2.
yeah.
2.4.
So we got to think probably mid-teens or something like that.
a lot
That's
of
great.
potential of even if he has to replace the whole engine, I think it still has potential.
Yeah.
But our other friend at Cars and Coffee announced that he got offered a Sport Classic, and hopefully we'll be doing a video on
That's
that.
Like, that's like winning the lottery.
He wanted a Sport Classic,
Whoa.
but he couldn't get an allocation, and the dealerships, one of their 918 customers who have access to these cars, had ordered it, but then decided that he didn't want it. So the dealership that our friend would buy a car like this contacted him and said, "Hey, do you want this one that we have
And
coming in.
it's already built, ready to go.
All built, ready to go, sitting at the dealer. So if everything works out, we'll be making a trip to the dealer and maybe videotape him doing the pickup. So he's a big Porsche enthusiast. So
That's awesome.
It's very cool if he can get this car.
Yeah, crossing fingers.
So let's see. We made some predictions, and I think it's safe to say that most of us are terrible at it with regards to the cars in Scottsdale. You want to go into that?
Oh, you know what? I forgot to bring my sheets.
All right.
I don't remember my prediction, actually.
Hold on a second. I got it on my laptop. Here we go. All right. I'll move this around here. This works just as good. So I copied it. Not everyone gave pricing because it was a little hectic as we were talking. Plus, we had Rob with us. So for the first car was the 928. Oh, thank you, Robert. There we go.
Thank you.
The first car was a 928, and I read the comments on YouTube from our episode. So the estimate was 50 to 75,000. We all underbid.
Oh.
Damon was the closest out of the insider crew at 60. Gurney Eagle almost nailed it. So it sold for 86.8.
Man,
This
wow.
is what I sold. I didn't look at to see what the buyer's premium was or if it was added on. Just what the it said on the website from the auction company. 86.8. 86.8 for that car.
Wow.
The one that looked like it wasn't even detailed.
That's amazing.
So the Carrera GT, which we discussed, this was the repaint. Was repainted red. I think it was GT silver.
Oh, a good
originally. Very good repaint by a very reputable shop. Rob came close to that. There was no estimate on it from the auction company. Sold for $1,575,000. A repainted Carrera GT. Not a rebirth like Porsche Classic did
Not
with the one car.
recommission, yeah.
This was just a repainted, different color. Rob had 1.5 million, so he was within 75,000. Craig S was the closest listener at 1.3. I was way off at 1.1.
Oh,
The 964 Turbo S, the lightweight lick valve. The estimate was 1 to 1.3 million. We all bid over a million. We all overbid, but Rob, I guess, came the closest at 1 million flat.
yeah.
Sold for 962,000.
Yeah, it seems like a well
But then
bought.
also there's, I mean, in all of these, there's also commission to the
buyer's premium.
Buyer's premium, right? Yeah.
Like I said, I don't know if this was included or not. The 964 flock bow, slant nose 964 estimate was 800,000 to a million. We all actually Vu came the
Ding,
closest,
ding, ding.
800,000.
Winner,
that
winner,
was
chicken
pretty
dinner.
close.
No, none of the listeners bid on or guessed on that one. Sold for 830,000.
Yeah.
And then the 356 Cabriolet was estimated between 220 to 250. We all underbid it.
Man.
Damon was the closest at 225.
Man,
Sold
did
for 362,500. Gurney Eagle once again did the best out of everyone at 300,000.
Wow.
So,
well
fortunately,
done, Gurney
None of
Eagle.
us are relying on our ability to guess pricing for a living.
So the story that we have up right now that you're seeing there, so Rob updated the story and said that the 356 cab was a no sale at Scottsdale.
I saw on the
it-
website it said 362.
All right, well, I guess we're updating a story.
That was Bonhams, I think, wasn't it? Was it Bonhams or
Yes,
was
it was Bonhams.
Yeah.
Because Bonhams, you had to go look up the.
The moral to the story is, man, are we just like hoping things are gonna go for less because I don't know, like our outlook is just we're way off. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, well, I mean,
So,
most of them went for less than what we
No.
estimated. Or wait,
No. Most of them went for more.
1575.
I'm the only one- yeah.
Well, 962, that went under. I guess that one went a little bit more.
Yeah. So the
Yeah.
market is still strong for good cars.
Yeah.
The one that really surprised me, honestly, was the 928 because it didn't even look like it was really prepped for sale. But maybe when it was there in person, maybe it was, prepped properly, or maybe there's something about that car
Yeah.
that makes it more special than we know, right?
So by the time you listen to this, our Tech Tactics Live would have been recorded with Nathan, and he has 5 cars he picked. So you might want to watch that episode because it'll be interesting because he was there and he talks about these cars. Several of them are cars that were bought at other auctions and relisted. And some sold for more, some sold, when you counted everything that was done to them, they sold for less.
Yeah.
So it should be interesting to see what Nathan has to say about the market. I think overall, though, it seems like the market was not hurt by fear of a recession or
Nope.
job losses or anything like that.
Still very strong for good quality cars. So last week we also had a drop from Porsche that was unexpected, and this one was interesting to watch with regards to the opinions on, say, Facebook versus Instagram versus other platforms, and that's the Vision 357. So, Manny, maybe you want to tell folks if they don't know about it, what is the 357?
First of all, don't panic. This is not necessarily Porsche's future. I had a great time reading the comments on Facebook and Instagram of Facebook was worse than Instagram as far as people having sheer panic that Porsche's knew every car was going to look like this. Well, every concept car people either love, they hate, but it's rare that we see the cars come out looking just the way, or even a car is going to come out like this. So this year's Porsche's 75th anniversary, you're going to see, I think, several of these kind of concepts or visions. If you haven't figured it out, 357 is one number past 356. And that's what they're celebrating. It's the first 356 that was made in 1948. I think it was pretty cool in some of the stuff they did. If you look at the wheels, it's a center locking wheel, but they made it look like it has 5 lug nuts, the way the 356 did, with not the close lug nuts like the modern cars, but spread out more like a Volkswagen style. Yep. They also made it mid-engine, and you say, well, the 356 was. I think this was mid-engine, wasn't it, Damon?
Well, 356-1 was mid-engine.
One was
the very first one.
Even though they have like a grill-looking thing on the back, it's not really grill, so graphics.
Yeah.
That would be rear engine, but it was mid-engine, I think, and a tribute to the original 356 that was also mid-engine. Yeah. It uses a GT4 RS drivetrain. It's not drivable, doesn't go anywhere. It's a static model that they did a what if, That's what design departments do. If you have no rules, no DOTs to follow, what would you come out with? And this is it. And it was pretty cool that they shared it with us.
A fun exercise. And, what I love about it is, the brand that we all love, they still have the bandwidth to do creative things like this. And regardless of whether or not you like it, I think it's cool that they can do a little bit exploratory and see what the market thinks of it. Probably the funniest comment I got was, and I agree with these people that pointed this out, is on one of the rear quarter photos, it is reminiscent of like a 350Z in the way that the shape is. But, again, this is not necessarily the exact future of Porsche, but they're going to create little things that see how the market, reacts to it. And do you like the sort of the grille recognition in the back? It still has the fender humps in the front that's iconic to a Porsche. The wheels and, sort of the retro, all that. I mean,
stuff like cameras for side view mirrors, which we always see it never makes it to production.
Yeah.
Once again, there's so many of these Vision type cars that Porsche built over the years, or they made as gifts. This is supposed to be a birthday gift to themselves. There was the one that was called the Panamericana, I think, and that was rumored that Ferry Porsche absolutely hated it.
That was the four-door one?
This is
the green one.
The
two-door green one.
That has the Porsche crest on the tire tread.
Yeah.
And you can see where there was like slight elements that they used for the 993,
right,
with the headlights and whatnot. But people freaked out about that too, saying Porsche is going downhill. This is our future. And
it's funny. I was very surprised about the Facebook comments that we saw. So I think overall the shape is really nice, good-looking shape. Maybe a little bit awkward in the back, but you have to understand they're trying out new styling elements and new technology with the taillights and the headlights. And so it may not look great, but the overall shape of the car and most of the details, I think, look really good. And where people see 350Z or 370Z, I also see Koenigsegg. I also see Nissan GTR. You know, some other cars that, you know, you're always going to get something like that.
Something that always gonna look like something else, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, but I was really surprised at how negative the comments were overall on Facebook.
Do you not
versus
remember when
Instagram.
they introduced the
Oh my
Cayenne?
God.
When they introduced the Boxster? Do you forget what happened?
Oh
then?
my gosh.
Well, even so, we've done our own studies in PCA. We've hired artists that have conceptualized different, like a modern 908 or a modern 914, and it's the same way. You know,
Yeah.
it's, and you almost want to say it's just a concept drawing. That's all it is. They almost act as if the Christians have redesigned the crucifix. It's nothing. I applaud them because the 356 is very sacred.
Yeah.
To have give us a modern interpretation of what the 356 would be, but that's not really what Porsche is about. Is recreating old.
Yeah.
So it's
fun to see, regardless.
very, very
Whether you
cool.
liked it or didn't, I
Yeah.
think it
So
was,
you said it had a GT4 RS platform. So does that mean
it doesn't run.
No, but is it electric or would it be electric or what was the design study?
No, 718 GT4 RS. So it has the 493 horsepower engine. It has the
Are we glossing over the fact that their design concept car is still an ICE it's still an internal?
well, if you
combustion
look at
engine?
the fuel flap, it says e-fuel only.
Yeah.
Just as a hey,
See,
we
that's-
know the future.
Like that's
is-
pretty cool,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Like this is their latest little design concept, and it's still, internal.
What I
combustion.
really liked though that no one really talked about was the transporter, because they have photos of it on the trailer, and there's a Porsche transporter like a van,
Yeah.
painted red,
Yeah.
and, a modern interpretation of the old '60s bug transporters.
That was part of the Porsche Unseen that was released in
display?
2020, I think it was.
Yeah.
When they had all those concepts that they released, and
Right.
they repurposed it
Ah,
for
okay.
the 357, which I thought was a clever.
Yeah.
I would
clever
buy
little
that in
detail.
a heartbeat.
Yeah, for those of you that haven't seen, by looking at the 357, you see the 75th anniversary logo.
Yep.
Yes, that's
Right?
the one that we have a picture of too that Porsche released to us. I don't think Porsche would appreciate us showing the email they sent to us, but I wish I could show it to everyone because it has all the rules of how to use this. and
Very specific rules.
What I liked was things how not to show it.
Yeah.
And it was stuff like you can't show it on the busy background. You can't show on the background that's not a color approved.
Yeah.
You basically they're very strict about their CI and.
As they should
I wonder
be.
how they're going to actually be able to monitor all of that.
They do. Trust
They
me.
do?
They do.
Oh, my
absolutely.
Well, they're
gosh.
really worried about their own people, their dealerships, that they're
Right.
using it correctly.
Yeah.
It doesn't, appear on the rear
You
of
don't,
somebody's
you don't want somebody to
underwear.
get creative and have like a claw coming out of it or something.
I could see definitely for like dealerships, and I seem to remember we have access to, I think, Vector Porsche logos, but those also come with
Very strict.
very specific directions on
Yeah,
how to use
very
them.
strict usage guidelines. Very strict. All right, so let's talk about. We had a little fun luncheon here at PCA National Headquarters with the staff that was spearheaded by Jim Hemmick.
Yeah, we got to watch the Formula E race. I heard they had 10 people watching, 8 of which were in our conference room.
You're so terrible.
It was very hard to find, and poor Jim was sweating bullets because he couldn't get. He had spent like 2 hours in the morning getting everything set up. So he was so happy that people are going to come watch
Yeah.
Formula E with him while they're having their lunch in the conference room, and we couldn't get the streaming to work.
He was in the right place. It's just that it wasn't.
Then you have someone willing to use pirated streaming, and you have Robert panicking because he doesn't want the pirated streaming entering our system.
Yeah.
And we finally got it legitimately correct. I
Yeah.
think it was ESPN.
And it was a pretty exciting race at the
that
end.
was.
Yeah, it was a lot of people asking questions because they have these areas where they can get I think a power boost.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you go offline for
Yeah.
a second.
Yeah.
And you so it a lot of people had never watched the Formula E race.
It was pretty cool. Like you couldn't help but think partly, a little bit of Mario Kart kind of vibe to it, and then you also, if you've ever seen the modern day Speed Racer, and in that movie, how the cars were more electronic and da 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 da, and it was. I mean, this course was like a legit like street course with looks like a lot of money put into it, but you could tell when they were doing the wider shots that included the stands for the spectators and such, like it wasn't all that full, right?
Yeah.
And it was in the middle of, I don't know, in the middle of the night, but it was at night.
Yeah.
And it looked very cool. It was cool racing. It was neat to learn about the drivers, but it was so unfamiliar to me to kind of watch.
It's very frustrating because it's very cool that Porsche is entering this open wheel racing. The frustrating part about Formula E is that I swear they need somebody marketing them because they do these races on these city tracks and there's hardly any spectators. They got to figure out a way they can do it at real racetracks, permanent circuits, and to get a wider fan base because there's no one that I ever speak to that is excited about Formula E or talks about Formula E.
They don't know about
Formula One, yes, but
Yeah.
Formula E, nothing. And I think really it's because of the fact they do it on these street circuits and they don't encourage spectators. I don't know anyone's ever been to a Formula E race.
Yeah. But have we seen much like Formula E marketing? Like I don't feel like
No,
I
it's very it's hard to find the races, and I don't think the sound really is. People say, "Well, they don't make any sound." I don't think it's true at all. I think the racing would be a lot more interesting if they did it on a regular racetrack. Now, I understand because being electric, they're limited by how many laps they do.
Yeah.
And whatnot, but there's got to be a way that they can market this better. Otherwise, I see it dying. I mean, I hear rumors that Porsche is going to pull out.
Yeah.
After this year, they may win everything and just pull out. But that would be a shame because it's like you said, it's close racing.
Yeah.
And they also got to do something with the cars because when we were watching it, they all look the same.
They all look the
Yeah,
same.
they
It
did.
was hard
Yeah.
to figure out
Other
which
than
one
colors,
was the Porsche,
yeah.
and even then the colors was
Yeah.
pretty tight.
Well, that didn't help you.
No, I mean I'm
right,
trying to look at the
exactly.
car numbers,
Yeah.
and it was.
But it
It
was
was very
exciting
frustrating.
racing, and there was strategy with, you could see how many percentage of power they have left in the race, and
Yeah, that was cool because they were like
that was
instead
cool.
of
It's
running
like-
out of gas,
it's
you're
like
running out of power.
You basically want to cross that finish line with less than 1% battery life,
Yeah.
and how hard you drive and how many times you go into that area to get the extra boost. Yes, you get extra boost, but that means you're burning up the battery more. So I thought it was exciting racing, even though it didn't have like the sounds that we're used to in normal racing. But again, I don't know how much further this will go if people don't, no matter how good it is, but if people don't know about it, then how do you survive?
Yeah, it's
Oh.
yeah. Hopefully they figure something out. Cause, I do think it's cool that Porsche's they have their full factory effort. In fact, I think that the Andretti team was also running Porsche powered.
Yeah.
So it was it was fun to watch on a Friday.
Now, a race we all knew about last week, but maybe the outcome was not what we wanted, and that was at the Rolex 24 at Daytona.
Oh my God, it was. We knew going in that the GTD and GTD Pro, which is the same car, just the level of the driver's skills, the difference with the two classes, they were already hurting. Qualifying was a disaster. They had this thing called BOP, which is the balance of power adjustments, and Porsche was really slammed hard, and they basically never got. People said, "Oh, they're sandbagging." They weren't sandbagging. They just never had a chance. It must have been so frustrating from a driver's point of view. Kudos to Pfaff out of Canada. The plaid cars, they worked their way up. I think the fifth or sixth overall, but they were never contenders for a podium. It was just, everyone was hoping that the faster cars would break down,
Yeah.
and Porsche reliability would shine through, but that never happened. It was. They just didn't have the speed. So hopefully Sebring in March will prove better for GTD. The 963s, which what everyone was looking at, they did have the pace. Lap time-wise, Nick Tandy was on fire, but they had bad luck come their way. Did you guys watch the race any?
Yeah, I watched a good chunk of it. It was what was it? Reliability for one car at like the 5th hour, somewhere around there.
Well, the Felipe Nasser car, and you saw it on TV where I think the second horseshoe, the car just died. And I remember when I went down to watch for testing, Porsche explained just that. They said the car just dies.
Oh.
And you see him slowing down, looking to get off the track as quick as possible. And basically, they were doing controlled alternate delete, for lack of a better expression.
Oh.
And they were restarting the cars, and he got back into the race. But then they had to replace the battery unit, which was pretty cool to see him do that. It was 100 over 100 pounds. It was a heavy.
Yeah, they said, I forget if this is in the story that our reporter Ryan Kerrigan sent, but it was, I think it was supposed to take upwards of 50 minutes to replace that battery unit, and they did it in 22 minutes.
Wow. That's
So
amazing.
they were really working.
I'm guessing he might have practiced this.
Oh, you think? Yeah, of course.
I didn't see anybody with a book trying to figure out how you change a battery.
Anyone got the owner's manual?
But they did have a jack specifically for that battery unit.
Oh, I bet.
And they were explaining on TV that it weighs over 100 pounds. That's why they needed to use the jack. But they lost precious laps. The Meyer Shank Racing team, the one that won overall, they were changing gearbox oil.
Yeah. Yeah. So Ryan was actually telling me that it wasn't gearbox oil, it was engine oil, because all the gearboxes are spec gearboxes across all of the cars.
Okay, I thought I read it was gearbox oil they were changing.
Yeah, so we'll have to double check on that. But they were changing oil of some sort every single pit stop.
Wow.
The Meyer Shank Racing one.
Well, I know the Meyer Shank were having transmission overheating problems, and but they managed to.
So the balance of power formula, that's set up at the beginning of the season, and is there room for it to be changed now that they're actually racing, or is that like set in stone?
You would hope they were. So before the race started, Porsche was hoping that IMSA would see that their pace was way off.
Yeah.
And they look at it as a business because they have a lot of customers running this car.
Yeah.
Plus, a lot of fans are coming to watch Porsche.
Right.
And they figured that IMSA would say, hey, you guys are off pace. We're going to give you a weight reduction or something to try to even up the field a little bit.
Yeah.
But nothing.
Nothing.
And
But would
sucks.
they change that for the next race, possibly?
That's what they're hoping for, yeah.
Okay,
Hopefully they're not waiting for them to...
Well, that's better than
BOP
having
changes.
Yeah, it does
Depending
change.
on how well a car or a team does. And it's kind of infuriating because, the BOP is meant to make the racing closer.
Yeah.
But
it kind of
like
penalizes the person that's either on
who's built a better car.
built a better car. So yeah,
Who just happens to have it. So it's
Yeah.
a little infuriating, but
yeah.
it's produced some really good racing. I was just looking up I'm reading here about the Meyer Shank is that it was engine oil, but we'll be sure to
here
have.
it says the MSR got super lucky with race-long gearbox drama.
Yeah.
And how they were maintaining the fluid levels. Basically, it was in the story from at Sports Cars 365.
Yep.
They didn't tell the drivers at Meyer Shank that so Helio Castroneves had no idea that but she said he was glad because had he known about it, it would have been in his
distraction.
head. Yeah,
Yeah,
But
exactly.
they never told the drivers, and even the engineer had said that monitors this. Someone came and put a piece of tape over top of his laptop where he sees the temperatures.
Yeah.
Because I'm sure he was also stressed out every
Yeah.
time watching his temp. So they were basically said it was going to run or not run, and it ran. So that was.
So it looks like they were doing that to the gearbox and the engine oil, because he
Yeah.
goes on here saying, "I noticed a lot of manufacturers are changing the engine oil now, where we draw it out and
Wow.
change it." So they were changing the oil and maintaining levels of two different
During a pit stop.
pieces of powertrain.
Well, they realized that was what was going to. The oil thing, I remember, the engine oil that they were not anticipating such degradation. So that when they did the engine oil testing, and that's when they decided they were going to have to change this fluid as part of the pit stops. So to their credit, they engineered a win, and unfortunately, Porsche did not have such luck. Tandy had Nick Tandy. It was so depressing because every time I would check out, we went to dinner with friends, and when I got a chance, I would look at my phone and. Looking at live timing, and I would see him dropping further and further down, and it wasn't like they were in the lead lap anymore. They were a lot of laps down.
Yeah.
So Tandy had a scuffle with another, I think, a LMP2 car, maybe, or LMP3 car.
It's tough to see what happened.
Going into the bus stops, and he tried to avoid it, and he hit something, and it was just a nightmare. All along, it was just a terrible showing. I know Porsche put on a brave face and said, they learned a lot and everything, but you can't tell me they weren't hoping for something much better because of how much testing they put into this car.
and more than the other teams, from what I've been gathering.
Yeah.
So.
I mean, they're going all in. They had a lot of people there, and it is Penske. So it'll Sebring's going to be hopefully a redemption. They'll have both teams, the WEC that races on Friday, and then IMSA with the 12 hours. I think the WC race is 1,000 miles, and the or 1,000 miles, I think, and the Sebring, of course, is 12 hours on Saturday.
Well,
It was nice to see the 963s and Nick Tandy actually put up a really good fight, because up until the 21st hour, so he had gotten himself into the position after all that drama that if there was one more caution, which there was,
Yeah.
he would have been able to go straight up, and basically be on the lead lap.
Right.
And, near the front of the lead lap. Unfortunately, I think it was a coolant issue or something.
Coolant pipe broke or
burst.
came off. And,
Yeah. And
That
so
was
we
on
had to
the,
stop.
regular
21st
ice
hour.
engine.
Oh man.
Yeah.
Oh.
But that's unfortunate. That's racing. That's what makes
That's racing.
That's what
That's
makes
what people say.
Daytona fun
That's
as
racing.
an endurance race.
Well, I guess we'll have to make sure and stay tuned to Sebring and see how things change for them. Let's see. Oh, this came out, and I had heard of it, but I wasn't sure I was able to talk about it. But then you found this link about this Porsche and the NFT launch.
I don't know how many people follow the NFTs. It's kind of like died down the enthusiasm with them, and
Yeah.
I think people are clumping it with crypto. A lot of people don't understand what it is, but Porsche got into the NFT game and announced a big NFT launch, and it kind of like backfired on them. They had a lot of scammers.
Yeah.
They had a secondary market where things were selling for less, and they basically shut down the minting of these NFTs, which caused it to go higher the next day because it made it really limited, and
Right.
the people who had them put them on the market, so it was selling for more, and the value went up on them because they were so limited.
Oh, wow.
And I don't know if Porsche is going to try this again. Or they had to make statements saying because of issues with the NFT launch, we're shutting it down.
It's so abstract to me. In fact, last night, I haven't finished it, but I was watching this Bitcoin on Netflix show about how this Canadian Bitcoin exchange company and the guy disappeared and a bunch of money people
You're
transferred
learning
their
all about the blockchain.
Yeah, and like had this guy was like, "Oh, I'll transfer $400,000 into this Bitcoin exchange, and I'll cash out in Canadian dollars." And he transferred it all, and then when he went to go cash it out, he's like waiting and waiting and waiting. Yeah, it's a world I wish I knew more about and I could take advantage of it, but I have no idea.
Yeah, I'm surprised that Porsche came out with it such late in the game.
Yeah.
And obviously, they have a lot of smart people. You would think that are making these decisions whether to come out with it or not.
Well, if NFTs are, they're not super new, but they're a fairly recent thing, like past few years.
I would say back in the beginning of 2021
Yeah.
was when they really started exploding into the
Yeah.
So
market.
if they're going to be a thing over the long term, then I wouldn't think that this is something that is Porsche was late to, but did they do it right? And I don't know enough about NFTs.
Well,
Yeah.
they're saying they're late to it because they had their rise and now they're falling.
Yeah.
It's kind of like Beanie Babies when
Yeah.
they seem
Maybe
like,
they'll go up
they
again.
Oh
seem like
my
a
gosh.
retirement plan.
Did you just use Beanie
I remember
Babies
that,
as a
right?
reference?
I had a friend who had like a wall of Beanie
Whoa.
Babies.
They were people
Damon,
that,
do you know what Beanie Babies are?
Oh yeah, definitely. My
Oh.
mom loved him. I had a friend
there's
who
a
had
lot
a
of
wall
shows
of them.
about them
Beanie
because people
Babies.
thought that was going to be their retirement.
I was
Yeah.
of that era.
Beanie Babies.
Oh
sure.
my gosh!
Yeah.
That was crazy. Our next topic, I'm gonna label as "Don't be that guy." Don't be that guy.
Well, this at least was better than Tesla with the guy with the pipe wielding
Oh my gosh! Yeah, that was
psycho
crazy.
who they caught. They
road
finally
raging.
caught.
They caught him.
Yeah, a guy who was road raging in a Tesla, and he had a metal pipe, I think.
This
He
guy
was
might have a
taking-
metal pipe to
taking-
get those center lock wheels off.
The one we're talking about though is a blue GT3, and I love how this stuff makes the news. That's what kills me.
Well,
because I'm
yeah.
thinking it must have been a really slow day for news.
No.
that
Here's
morning.
what happens.
But it's a
The
Porsche.
cars do that all the time. But the fact that this happens to be what
Shark
looks to
blue.
be a brand new, shark blue GT3, that's how it makes the news, is because they want to sensationalize it and call out the Porsche owner. And I totally agree that you shouldn't drive that way. But the only reason why it made the news is because it's a Porsche. I'm sure 10 other cars behind it was
You
doing
know what
the
the
same
proper
thing.
tool for doing that is?
What?
A mid '90s Nissan Maxima.
A mid-90s Maxima. Why? I don't get it.
Because nobody will care if you go in the the outside lane.
Oh.
In a Maxima.
I was gonna say a new Explorer.
You won't make the
that
news.
looks like a cop car.
But for me,
Yeah, true.
For me, not only is it not proper to do that, and
true.
you're passing everybody, but that's the worst place you want to take soft, sticky tires and drive through, because all the debris from the road gets blown into the shoulder, and those tires aren't cheap.
Yeah, no, not at all. But you know what? Maybe he did pick up a nail or a screw on that drive.
He did it twice. That's what made the news.
Oh,
so
man.
twice around the same time period. So obviously that early in the morning he's going to work.
Yeah.
He's not out for a joyride.
Yeah.
And so I would imagine, since he realized he made the news, that he might be laying low.
Yeah.
But when you're driving, that's like Shark Blue GT3. At least that's what it
Well, I
seems
mean,
like.
we talk about this, when we're driving our Porsches, is you kind of stand out, right? And people are kind of sensitive these days, and if you're doing stupid things in your Porsche, you're more than likely going to get called out for it. And there's a lot of people with dash cams, with their cell phones that record. Like for me, Manny always makes fun of me at how slow I drive, but I stay out of trouble. I want to stay out from under. There's just so many opportunities to be called out for driving.
When's the last time you got a ticket?
Ticket?
Yeah.
It's been
Oh, he probably hasn't gotten a ticket in a
20
while.
years maybe.
Yeah. Ticket is one thing.
He has the key, right?
No,
To
I
doing
mean, you again,
I understand. You got Miss Daisy in the back seat. You gotta.
I just don't want to. I mean, I can only see the headlines. Again, I don't want to be the Porsche headline.
What's the headlines? The middle-aged Asian guy speeding? That's the headline.
PCA's executive director.
Oh yeah, that's
driving-
going to be the headline.
It's
Yeah,
so
right.
easy, and then of course many of us have vanity plates, right? So some of us have PCA plates, and it's very easy to remember the plate that they saw, a white Porsche with.
You know what a lot of people think when they see the PCA plate? It's not PCA.
Are they police? You think?
Police.
Oh,
I've had
because of the
lot
little
people-
circle.
Because
and
the letters are PC.
PC.
And I've had a lot of people who are staring at it, and I'll stop them. I said, what are you looking at? And they're like, is that police? And I'm like, no,
Yeah,
that's
fraternal order.
Porsche Club.
Manny, please don't bank on the fact that you think people are gonna believe that's a police plate and you drive the way you do.
I just drive with everyone. I drive
No,
a
you don't.
138
No.
horsepower car.
Yeah, but you
If the
drive
wind
all
blows against me.
130 all the time.
That's what I paid for. Just stay out of the left lane and everything's fine.
Oh my
Yeah.
gosh. Yeah. But one day you're gonna run into like that crazy dude in the Tesla that's come wielding a pipe at you. And
Well, if he's driving fast, I move out of the left lane all the time. There's much faster people.
no. But what happens is you come up on people that aren't driving fast, and you are a bit aggressive behind them, and that's what can trigger them.
You mean I flash my lights once. If
Yeah.
they don't move over, then I pass them.
He says it so innocently.
Well, I mean, so I get flashing lights once to get it, and I get it, but we drive a little bit more, I think, conservatively than Manny.
Absolutely.
Not a lot, but I don't think I've ridden in a car with you driving, Manny. I haven't. It's been a long time.
It's like he's club racing at wherever he goes, and he's not even late.
You act like I don't go in and out of traffic. I stay in the left lane, and that's why if people
That's true.
just stay
That's
out
true.
of the-
You don't. No. Yes, you don't weave like idiots, like through traffic. But like you go from merged lane and cross over immediately to fast lane, and then you stay there, and then
Would you like me to make an appointment in the left lane? Who wouldn't do
and
that?
then it's left lane until you get home.
But because that's supposed to be the hammer lane, the fast lane is the left lane.
I know. I'm just.
If people saw cars faster than them coming, just move over, and life is simple.
I would agree with you if everybody understood that, but then there are crazy people that hang out in the left lane, and I just don't want you to get wrapped up in all that.
But what really scares me is when I pass a car and I look over, and the person's head is looking down. And
that's the
and
worst.
They're looking at their phone or typing away. That's
That's
what
the
really
worst.
scares me. If they're doing like 80, and they're looking down.
Now, isn't
Yeah.
it in some states now, like if you're just hanging out in the left lane, state troopers can give you tickets for hanging out there because you're not passing.
I hear rumors about that. I think it's more like a unicorn.
Oh God, I would love if that was
There's
like
some states, I think
like
North
in-
or South Carolina has that.
in
has that rule.
Germany. You only use the left lane to pass, and everybody knows that and understands it. That's why it's like a beautiful, ballet on European roads for the most part. I mean, of course, there's exceptions from time to time, but people understand you use the left lane just to pass. And
I'm
then
actually
you're
very
over.
chill when I drive because I'm listening to podcasts. So, it's if there's traffic, there's traffic. There's nothing I can do about
Right.
that.
If you're not weaving around,
No,
then,
he doesn't
then that's
weave.
pretty chill. Like
Yeah, yeah,
fast
he
as
does-
fast as
Yeah,
okay.
no. He doesn't weave, but he
Each
does
their
like
own.
dive bomb into like exit ramps and stuff like that.
Yeah.
He does the zipper very well.
Oh, nothing I hate worse than seeing a
Here he
merge
goes.
lane.
I knew that would trigger him.
Well, this morning actually, I get over to the right, the exit lane, like after 175, like right after. And I
Don't
just sit
lean
there.
back. You're always leaning back.
Yeah, so I just sit there in the right lane until 32, the exit on 32.
Yeah.
So I'm sitting there, and I see, and you weren't going fast, or
He
anything,
just
but
passed you.
Manny was going a little faster, and he comes in and gets a couple cars ahead of me, like right before exit 32.
That's totally him. That's totally him.
Yeah. Yeah. Hey, but he beat me to the
Look
office,
at-
and he
look,
started
he's try-
behind me.
He's trying to give me that I'm innocent face, and bro, it doesn't work. We all knew better than that. Anyways, all right. So, we talked about you got some new gear for videos and such, but we recently did post up some new videos.
Yeah, the one I want to point you guys to, especially if you have a Porsche Macan S, a first gen, which would be through the 2018 model year. If you need to do spark plugs, it's a job you could do yourself if you have some pretty basic tools. And we had our member services representative, Anthony Solero, did the spark plugs on his parents' Macan S here at the office. So watch this, and you'll see all the things that you should do to replace your spark plugs. And we also give tips to make the job go even more quickly.
And much like the other video, this is what I call the real life videos, not these videos, how-to videos, where they basically rebuild the engine in 12 minutes.
Yeah.
And then you try to do it, and you're spending 12 minutes looking for the 10-millimeter bolt.
Right.
And this is basically what two guys changing spark plugs would run into as your first time doing it. Obviously, if you're a technician, you know all the shortcuts.
And we always
what to
ask
expect.
a dealer tech or one of our PCA tech experts to watch the video. And the tips that you see in there, the pro tips, are things that he noticed that, well, I would have done this a little differently, and you probably would have saved a little bit of time if you had as well. So really good video, really easy job if you want to save a little money and learn a little bit more about your Macan S.
Yeah, and there's a tip. I won't spoil it. If you watch it, there is a tip for you because, as Manny said, this is the true experience of doing plugs on a car, and we ran into a little issue. And so watch it, and you'll find out what that was
You
all
won't
about.
feel like this. This must be the only person it happens to is me.
Yeah.
No.
That something goes wrong.
Yeah.
'cause-
Peter actually said some of his dealer techs make the same exact mistake.
Sure.
So
Yep, exactly.
it happens. But yeah, watch that. We also have a lot of Macans lately. We had Robin Warner recently got in the brand new Porsche 2023 Porsche Macan T, which is the 4-cylinder, 261 horsepower base model Macan, but with basically all of the GTS suspension options. So if you want the lightest Macan or one of the lightest Macans, and you want great handling, and you want to save a little bit of money over the GTS or the Macan S, then the Macan T is the one to get.
Yeah, great review.
Yeah, so thank you, Robin. You did a great job explaining that car. Vu was also at the Literature and Toy Meet not too long ago, or I should say last year, and we did a video to release this year a little bit ahead of the 2023 event.
Yeah, and thank you so much. I know that was a difficult edit for you because you had to edit around my what looked like I got Botox lips, but really it was just an allergic reaction.
If you're wondering why Vu only appeared in that first scene, like
And from far away.
Yeah.
Whose butt were you kissing?
I had I don't to this day I don't know what it was. I went to dinner with my mom the night before and my lips just like ballooned and it looked like I got like LA Botox. And I was like, usually when I've growing up, I've had these reactions. I can take a Zyrtec and go to sleep and wake up the next morning and everything's fine. And for whatever, I don't know what it was, but I woke up the next morning and they were still poofy. And
wow.
we still had a video to do, so we did it. And And thank you for editing around it so it wouldn't be so distracting.
Yeah, no, not bad at all. And yeah, Lit Meet is, I forget exactly what day off the top of my head, but watch the video and you'll find out.
It's in February, and
It's in February.
I just wrote on my tech tips, which you can find on the PCA.org website. It's about collecting, because on March 8th, I believe it is, our Tech Tactics Live is going to feature Prescott Kelly, who's in this video. He's one of the co-founders of the Lit Meet, LA Literature Meet, and he's going to talk about collecting. And I think he sold the majority of his collection, but for a while there, he had it was like a Willy Wonka type of place.
Oh, yeah.
And the store, and of course, to me, the best thing was the stories of how he acquired some of this stuff. Boo and I were both talking about when he used to have blueprint drawers where people, he would buy blueprint file cabinets, and that's where he would lay all his posters flat.
Factory posters.
He pulled one of them. It was like the 70 or 71 Daytona, and he had like 30 copies of this.
He literally had the hold on the market.
And I forgot how these cost, like maybe $700 a piece, and he had just bought like a bulk back when they were like 50 cents each or something.
And just held on to them.
And held on to them. So
I mean, it's a hoarder's dream, that you like a hoarder's hero.
See, that's why I hoard.
That's why I hoard. That's exactly
We're
why.
gonna continue this series of confessions. It's going to be called Confessions of a Porsche Hoarder.
I think we're onto something. And for those of you that are listening, this confession series where we're getting some insider stuff.
Yeah,
I think it's going to pick up some traction.
Yeah, I think to me, I'm a collector, and I'm selling some of my stuff because of space. But I would love to hear some of the stories, how you got stuff, and the stories behind some of these cool pieces that you may not appreciate until you hear what makes them valuable.
Yep. All right, so we're rounding out the hour here. Just want to let you know, Tech Tactics Live, we hope to see you there. Only Sunday is available, so you haven't registered for, Tech Tactics East, not Tech Tactics Live, Tech Tactics East. Make sure you show up there, but we will be doing Tech Tactics Live
on the Saturday.
On the Saturday, which is the 18th, and we're going to be doing two shows there?
Planning on doing two shows.
Okay.
We're still in the works with Porsche. Hopefully we can capture the Porsche presentations and show them at a later date. They're going to be talking about, they're sending someone from Germany to talk about the car, with the rally package, he was responsible for developing that.
Can we tell people what car is going to be there?
Yeah, the car and the GT3 RS.
Yeah.
So it'll be the first time that most people, including us, are going to see underneath of it.
Yeah.
So
and we've already asked them to put them on the list.
The techs there are big enthusiasts, and they love PCA members, so they're really happy that we're coming back to the Easton after COVID. And I specifically asked, we are going to have this on a lift, right? And they were very
it was an absolute
responsive yes.
And what they were just figuring out is, do we have them both up at the same time, or do we put one up and one down? And we're like, if you can't put both of them up, we want to see both of them.
We want to, for those of you that can't make it to Pennsylvania, we hope to capture this and share it with you in video.
Yep. And then shortly after that, we'll be heading to Amelia for Works Reunion. I think there's less than 75 or so spots left in the corral, so hopefully we will see you all there. Is there anything else before we sign off?
I would putting a plug for Bogdan and his Instagram, PCA's Instagram.
Oh yeah.
Remember to if you're not an Instagram person, get on for no other reason, just to follow PCA. We have a lot of cool little videos. Bogdan and Damon are very creative in creating these short videos, and you're going to see more and more.
And we're at least daily, sometimes twice a day. And what's nice is when you subscribe to the Instagram, it's purely Porsche and PCA information.
You follow and not subscribe.
Oh, follow. Yes, I
Get
know.
hip.
Get hip. I know.
Right.
All right. With that, thanks for listening. If you aren't currently a PCA member and own a Porsche, grab that VIN and head over to PCA.org. If you don't have a Porsche yet, we'll help you find one and join the test drive program. Remember to follow our podcast Instagram page, behind the scenes and videos, Porsche Club Insider, all one word. You can always email us at podcast@pca.org or simply comment on the YouTube podcast. Again, like, comment, subscribe. We really appreciate your support. Until next time, stay safe, and we'll catch you down the road.